In the prelims examination, your success will be determined only on the basis of how effectively you're solving those 100 questions in that span of 2 hours. Aspirants who are seriously preparing for this examination, if you look at the cutoffs, your success in this examination is just detrimental by 3 to 4 right or 3 to 4 incorrect questions in an overall attempt what you are making. If we read well, if we understand well, if we revise in this manner, we are still in a very right spot or in a position to eliminate options in this examination. It is not about studying harder these days. It is about how you smartly are studying those subjects, and this is where smart revision comes into picture, which is being provided by this quick revision classes. Hello everyone. As prelims examination is approaching, we need to shift the gear to prelims examination mode, and this is where Visionize has come up with respect to a very impactful revision course, that is quick revision courses, quick revision module of different subjects. So I am in this video, we are going to cover how strategically we are going to revise the entire polity syllabus, which is going to be very effective for my upcoming prelims examination. So let's discuss and let's strategize how we are going to cover polity in this quick revision module course of polity. So if I ask you one very simple question, and let it be very much clear that in the prelims examination, your success will be determined only on the basis of how effectively you're solving those 100 questions in that span of 2 hours. UPSC is not going to judge you that how many times you have read those content, how many times have you read that thing. It is just your revision, it is just your recalling of something which you have already read, and how accurately you are applying your revision concepts in that question solving ability. That's the all test in this prelims examination phase. And this is where, after reading the entire static syllabus for this examination, effective revision of each subject makes a very crucial step in the prelims examination phase. And again, when I talk about polity and governance specifically, this is where a major let's say understanding with respect to how we are going to revise polity and governance comes into an effect. Now tell me, how many of you, of course all of you must have read the standard sources of polity, you must have watched your respective classes, you must have revised your respective notes, but do you feel confident once you receive the question paper, once you start solving the previous year questions? And we tend to do silly mistakes, and we still are not that confident with respect to solving questions whenever the questions are given to us. And this is where the revision as a factor comes into picture, and not just revision, effective revision. Because you understand the common problem with respect to polity I'll discuss is that once we have read the entire subject in a static wise, then there are multiple articles, and all those articles gets mixed up, that which article number I should remember, which is article number for, let's say, national emergency, what is article 360. Then there are different kind of constitutional bodies, non-constitutional bodies, and they all get mixed up with respect to who appoints whom, what is the process of removal, which kind of majority is required, what kind of let's say appointment or let's say removal process is there. And that's where the confusion starts. And it does not stop here. The nature of questions which UPSC is asking down the line, what we have experienced by the analysis of previous year question papers, is that the statements look very much confusing. How it is confusing? They might, two options might look very familiar to each other, right? And that's where the problem starts. And that's where it is not just about, let's say, reading those things and multiple reading of those things, but it is more importantly at this level of your preparation, that again, once you have done with all, let's say, reading of your static subjects, It is a time of an effective revision, and I'll discuss how strategically we are going to cover the entire subject of polity, which is going to make you confident with respect to your question solving in the examination day. Now, what kind of problems do we face when it comes to polity questions, right? So the first problem which I specifically understand is a problem of familiarity. Many times we read a lot of chapters. Let's say I have read a chapter of president or vice president, and I feel confident कि ये तो मुझे आता है. I have read this multiple number of times, and again in that overconfidence I tend to maybe very superficially revise it. I just browse through the pages and I feel कि ये तो मेरा पढ़ा हुआ है. I have read this topic. That does not require maybe more such detailed revision, and that's where this familiarity traps comes into picture. We go for casual reading of certain things. We feel that we know this and there is no need for effectively revising it, and that's where silly mistakes comes into picture. That's where certain times once we see a question, we have this idea कि I have read this somewhere, but I'm not very confident कि what exactly is the accurate answer of the question which is there as per the constitution. And that's where this is a problem which students usually face when it comes to polity and governance. Then there is, if you look at the question papers of UPSC previous years, there are questions where again they are asking you statement based questions, and they ask you how many of the statements are correct, how many of the statements are not correct, and the new trend of only one, only two, only three. And many times there are some statements which look very familiar to each other, right? Now, when it comes to certain structural challenges which a student faces while reading polity question, is that number one is this familiarity trap. What exactly is this trap? Many times once we read polity and once we reread those things, we become confident with respect to a certain kind of a topic. Let's say I have read maybe the chapter of president or vice president. I'm confident that again I know this topic, and again I go for casual reading. That again, this is something I'm confident of. I have learned those things, I have learned those concepts, and that's where a question comes up. And that again, because UPSC these days are asking questions between the lines, right? And there are one or two small, let's say, exceptions, and questions are built on those topics. And that's where the casual reading, the familiarity कि मैंने तो ये पढ़ा है, I have read this, and in examination that comes into your mind that you have read the topic, you have read that thing somewhere, but you are not able to recall what was the exact thing what you have read. And that's the problem of a good revision. Then down the line, if you have observed and analyzed previous year question papers of UPSC, there is something called as statement-based testing nature of questions which has emerged. Now they're asking which of the above statements are they clear, right? Then there's a new trend, only one, only two, only three, right? And that's where some of the statements look very familiar, very similar to each other, and again we struggle with respect to identifying which one is correct and which was incorrect, because sometimes options look very familiar to each other, and we, without a clarity of that topic, it becomes very and really difficult to eliminate options, right? And then the idea of this high cost of errors, because understand, every wrong question in your paper is going to lose you 1/3 of the marks. And understand, the aspirants who are seriously preparing for this examination, if you look at the cutoffs, your success in this examination is just detrimental by 3 to 4 right or 3 to 4 incorrect questions in an overall attempt what you are making, right? So this is where polity becomes a very crucial subject, wherein I have read everything, but again I need to effectively revise it in order to improve my accuracy of solving questions in that span of 2 hours, where again there's a lot of pressure in the examination day, right? And that's where this quick revision module comes into picture. But what I feel that why exactly students and how exactly students are preparing for polity and how they are revising and why it is not working. Because what a common mistake which usually students does is they, in the name of revision, they start reading the same book again and again. They read it multiple times. Now they start underlining even more. they make more notes out of it, they make more, let's say, underlining of things, and they solve random multiple choice question papers, right? And this is where the revision fails, because that is not required at this level and this stage of your preparation journey. Now you require a revision which is very strategic and very effective as per the demand of this examination. And that's where the revision requires that I am revising the content, I am reading those content from prelims examination perspective, having an idea in my mind that how exactly UPSC is asking questions from this topic in the last 5 years, in the last 10 years, what has been the nature of change in the questions from a specific topic, which topics in my subject are the high ROI topics. That is, if I invest more on those, the more questions are being asked, generally what we have observed from previous year patterns, and that is where I'm going to invest more. The topics which are not usually asked in examination, I am going to devote less amount of time on this. And this is where you need to have a preparation strategy which is going to give you confidence and the idea of application of whatever you have read in a manner and revised it in a structured manner in your head, so that you can actually apply it very confidently in the examination day. And that's where this course comes into picture. And this is very scientifically and rationally designed course with respect to revision of polity for this examination, right? So how we are going to do? Firstly, let me make it very clear to you. It is not going to be a course where again we are going to teach you the entire topics of polity. It is a subtopic, or it is a course where again we are going to help you with respect to revise whatever you have read from the perspective of how questions are being asked in the examination, right? And it is going to be a very guided, let's say, revision strategy where again we are going to have a very close conversation with respect to how we are reading topics, how there could be some statements which could be asked as an exception from that topic, how previous year questions have been asked from that particular topic. So again, it is going to be very personalized way of dealing polity as far as its revision is concerned, based on the parameters which I have discussed. And usually many times we feel underconfident that even if I have read, let's say, a standard book for, let's say, 3 to 4 times, but when it comes to a question solving, I usually tend to do silly mistakes. Why it is happening with me? How I can overcome that challenge? Because trust me, it is not about how many times you have read, as I discussed. It is all about how effectively you are solving that question, which is going to determine your success in this examination. And one wrong question is 1/3 mark less, and it is determining and it is decreasing your chances of clearing this prelims examination. That's where polity, of course, the most favorite subject of all aspirants, but it tends to, let's say, give some silly mistakes in the examination due to the reasons which I have discussed. And this is where this quick revision module, which is going to help you a lot with respect to feeling confident while solving questions in this examination. So basically how we have planned things, because we have analyzed last 15-year question papers of UPSC as far as the subject is concerned. We have seen the trend, that how the trend has changed, how questions are asked, how questions were asked, which are the more focus areas, which areas we need to, let's say, give less importance, but at the very same time we need to revise it. So what would be the strategy? Again, these are the provisions how an ideal class would look like. In every class, we are going to discuss from every topic key constitutional terms, how exactly this definition based questions are asked. Basically, they are asking nowadays from fundamental rights, philosophical based questions. What is sovereignty? What is liberty? What is freedom? What is the difference between rights and duties? So all such nature of questions, key concepts are going to be discussed. Then we are going to see from every topic that what is the previous year question analysis, how exactly UPSC is asking questions, how the nature of questions has changed, and what is the emerging pattern that is going to guide me my revision strategy for the examination. Then every question we have seen, because if we analyze previous year question paper, we are also going to see the nature of options. That if I confuse between two options, then what is leading, what is that statement that leads to confusion, कि मुझे क्यों confusion हो रहा है दो options में, or how exception based questions are asked and framed from the topic which I am reading. Because usually you see in polity there are concepts, ek, small, only, not only, all of these small words which are added to the statement make the entire statement more confusing. So again, we are from every topic we are going to see all such areas from where exceptions could be framed based on previous year question papers, and we are going to make you understand ki what, because ideally nowadays if you understand, although the nature of questions has changed from, let's say, 1 to 1 to 3, now it is only 1, only 2, only 3, but still there is a high let's say probability that again, if we read well, if we understand well, if we revise in this manner, we are still in a very right spot or in a position to eliminate options in this examination. That is where, this is how we are going to build every topic of your syllabus from polity perspective around these themes, so that again you are feeling confident when it comes to appearing those questions in that examination, right? So this is where you are going to revise, and this is how we are going to make sure that again, where you need to invest your time as far as polity preparation or polity revision is concerned. We are going to see the must do areas based on the previous analysis. Then we are going to have some areas which are not that important on the basis of the nature of questions, and of course on the basis of topics what we have seen, we of course know this. And then what areas can be skipped or maybe have a very quick glance through as far as examination is concerned. And after every topic you're going to understand how I am going to revise that topic, because classes will be conducted one time, but again you are going to do that revision multiple times. And again, with the kind of revision which I am going to teach you in the classes, you are going to get how fastly you're going to revise that topic from examination perspective, because I know a structure in my mind now. After the classes, I have an approach. If I'm going to revise polity, what would be the manner, which will be the important areas, which things I can skip from the prelims examination perspective, which I can focus more, and that is something you're going to go. How deep we are going to delve into every topic, that is going to be taught to you. You're going to have a very clarity that if polity preparation for prelims is concerned, what will be my action plan, how and when, which areas I'm going to focus more, what to practice, what would be my MCQs, how I'm going to solve this, and lastly, we are going to integrate it to respective current affairs. Because you understand, this year I think the Honorable Vice President of India's office was in news, right? New Vice President has been elected. So again, that gives you a hint that out of all topics, all bodies, Vice President topic becomes important for my examination. Again, I can read what are the different areas in which prelims based questions could be framed from that topic. Right to privacy with the coming of DPDP rules has again come into picture. Right. So what are the areas for fundamental rights which are in news? Out of all rights, which rights are important as far as the current affairs linkage is concerned? So that is also going to be integrated while teaching those respective topics in the classes. And that is where we are going to focus on high ROI areas in this quick revision classes. Then after attending those classes, you are going to see visible results. And trust me, I'm giving you a guarantee that if you are in a disciplined manner, again, revising the content which we are teaching you, you're going to get a confidence, and you're going to get a maybe, or really you can feel that change with respect to your preparation. You are going to feel confident. You're going to have faster revision cycles, maybe once you have revised in the class, once you know the approach, because of course one time revision is not required. You need to read it multiple times before the examination to get that accuracy, to get that confidence, to get that recalling of things in the examination. That is going to be dealt over here. Then you're going to have a very clear thinking approach. If questions are there in my question paper, if I am getting confused, what parameters I have learned in class which I need to apply to overcome the challenge which I might face while seeing some kind of confusing options, that is going to be taught here. Then you are going to very confidently eliminate that if there are two options which look very familiar, what constitutional provisions I should keep in mind, what are the core ideas I need to keep in mind, which is going to help me to eliminate options. And then, of course, with all of these, you are going to reduce to a maximum extent by giving these silly mistakes in this examination, because silly mistakes are bound to happen. But again, with a strategic revision, with the kind of approach how we are revising those topics, that is going to reduce my silly mistakes in the examination, right? So with this, your exam day, you are going to feel confident. You are going to have a high accuracy while solving questions in the examination day. You are going to make more speed, right, without doing silly mistakes. And lastly, you're going to feel confident in the examination. So trust me, again, I'll repeat, with the coming up of this quick revision courses, you're going to make sure that, again, it is not just only about reading things. After read, you have done, I think, with the kind of reading, 80% or 85% of the effort is already done by you. It is all about those 5, 10, 15% extra effort, and this effort is going to be very much scientific, very much rational, very much strategic, how I am going to revise those topics from the examination perspective for my upcoming prelims examination. So with this, you're going to change from your preparation to your performance in the examination day. So with this, again, I'll try to re-emphasize one important thing. It is not about, UPSC itself tells it, it is not about studying harder these days. It is about how you smartly are studying those subjects. And this is where smart revision comes into picture, which is being provided by this quick revision classes. So in order to feel confident, in order to make yourself 100% confident, ready for the upcoming prelims examination, please join these courses. Please take benefit and improve that 5-10% lackage or lack which is there in the current preparation, which is going to be completely overcome with the revision module which we have planned for you. So keep on joining, right, and keep on, let's say, coming up for these courses. It is going to certainly help you a lot with respect to your upcoming prelims examination. Thank you so very much, and all the very best.